This is a presentation for the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District rule changes, rules 4306 and 4320. This rule covers Central Valley counties spanning from San Joaquin in the north down to parts of Kern County in the south and applies to all boilers, steam generators, and process. This is going to apply to sizes greater than 5 million BTUs per hour. The first deadline for these rules is coming on May 1st, 2022. Now, we're going to throw out a lot of dates, but this is an important one because this one is one that everybody in the district is going to have to do something on. In addition, as we go through these rules, we need to keep in mind that the district is looking for compliance with both rules. Both rules have two different emissions levels and two ways to comply. So the district is going to be looking for both of these rules to be adhered to. Rule 4306 establishes a baseline for all units across the district. So everybody's going to have to meet this no matter what. The end users are broken down into the following categories, A through E. Category A is general applications, 5 to 20 million BTU. Category B is general applications greater than 20 million BTU. Category C is oil field steam generators. Category D is refineries. And Category E is limited use permits. Category A is defined as units greater than 5 million BTU and less than 20 million BTU. The approximate horsepower for that is 119 horsepower to 476 horsepower. Category A is units greater than 5 million BTU per hour up to 20 million BTUs per hour. Horsepower is approximately 119 horsepower to 476 horsepower. The units are all broken down into 5 separate subcategories: fire tubes, units at schools, units firing digester, thermal fluid heaters, and anything else that doesn't fall under the categories above. So as you can see on here, fire tube boilers are going to have a NOx limit of 7 ppm as a requirement. Units at schools, digester fired, and thermal fluid heaters, as well as any other units, are given allowance to operate at 9 ppm. For CO, you're looking at everything being 400 ppm. For NOx on liquid fuels, you're looking at 40 ppm, and CO on those at 400 ppm. So for these Category A units, for compliance, they have it broken down by the same categories. However, there's a deferment allowed for some of these units that we'll go through. So for fire tubes that are currently permitted greater than 9 ppm, May 1st, 2022 is what's going to be required for the emissions control plan, along with the authority to construct on the same date as well. Ultimate compliance for these units needs to happen by December 31st, 2023. Now, for fire tube units that are currently permitted at 9 ppm or less, May 1st, 2028 is the required date for the emissions control plan, along with the authority to construct, with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2029. Units at schools, units that fire digester gas, and thermal fluid heaters, you're looking at May 1st, 2022, with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2023. There's no deferment allowed on these units. And for all other units, that threshold is at 12 ppm. So if you're 12 ppm or greater, it's May 1st, 2022 for emissions control plan and authority to construct, with a compliance deadline by December 31st, 2023. If you're 12 ppm or less currently permitted, May 1st, 2028 for your emissions control plan and authority to construct, with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2029. Category B units greater than 20 million BTUs per hour, approximately 476 horsepower, are broken down into 3 subcategories. We have fire tube boilers, 20 million to 75 million. Any other units, 20 to 75 million. And units greater than 75 million BTUs per hour. For the fire tube and all other units, 20 to 75 million BTUs, we're looking at a 7 ppm NOx requirement. For any units that are greater than 75 million BTUs, we're looking for a 5 ppm NOx requirement. For compliance, there is deferment in each category. So for fire tubes that are greater than 20 million and less than 75, that are 9 ppm, that are greater than 9 ppm, May 1st, 2022 is going to be the requirement date for your authority to construct an emissions control plan. Ultimate compliance is going to be by December 31st, 2023. For those same units that are currently permitted at 9 ppm or less, their deferment is allowed to May 1st, 2028, with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2029. For all other units, it follows the same deferment schedule. For 20 million to 75 million BTUs greater than 9 ppm currently, May 1st, 2022. For the emissions control plan, authority to construct with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2023. All other units, 20 to 75 million BTU that are permitted at 9 ppm or less are allowed a deferment to May 1st, 2028 for their emissions control plan and authority to construct with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2029. Units that are greater than 75 million BTUs that are permitted greater than 7 ppm are going to come into compliance, have an emissions control plan and authority to construct by May 1st, 2022, with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2023. And for units that are currently at 7 ppm or less of that size, they are allowed the deferment to May 1st, 2028 for the emissions control plan and authority to construct with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2029. Category C, oil field steam generators. These are broken down into 4 subcategories. For units 5 million to 20 million BTUs and 20 million to 75 million BTUs, the target emissions level is 9 ppm NOx. For units that are rated greater than 75 million BTUs, they're targeting 7 ppm NOx. And for units firing less than 50% by volume utility quality gas, we're looking at 15 ppm NOx as the target. For compliance, units with a total input of 5 million BTUs to 20 million BTUs, we're looking at May 1st, 2022 for the emissions control plan and authority to construct with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2023. There are no deferments allowed in this category, so all units that are listed in these 4 subcategories are going to have emissions control plans and authority to construct submitted by May 1st, 2022 with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2023. Category D, refinery units. These are broken down into 3 subcategories. Boilers with a total heat input of 5 million to 40 million BTUs have 2 categories within that. For existing equipment, the requirement is going to be 30 ppm. For units where the solution is going to require replacement of the burner or equipment, the new requirement for that particular unit is going to be 5 ppm NOx. For boilers 40 million BTU to 110 million BTU, for in-place retrofit, you're looking at 9 ppm NOx requirement. If equipment needs to be replaced, we're looking at 5 ppm for replacement. And for units greater than 110 million BTUs, 5 ppm NOx is the requirement, regardless of retrofit, or replacement. For process heaters under the refinery category, process heaters that are 5 million to 40 million BTUs, 30 ppm NOx will be the requirement for retrofits, and on replacement units, 9 ppm will be the requirement. For process heaters from 40 million to 110 million BTUs per hour, 15 ppm NOx is a requirement for retrofits, and 9 ppm is required for replacements. And for process heaters 110 million BTUs and greater, 5 ppm is going to be the requirement. Now for compliance schedule, you can see here, all units are going to be following the same schedule with no deferments, where the emissions control plan is going to be required by May 1st, 2022, along with the authority to construct, and ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2023. Low usage units. These are going to be units that operate with an annual heat input of 9 billion BTUs per year to 30 million BTUs per year. The NOx requirement is going to be 30 ppm on these units. Now we make our way into Rule 4320. 4320 has enhanced limits which users have the option to comply with or pay annual fees in lieu of compliance. Category A is for units greater than 5 million BTUs up to 20 million BTUs. It's also broken down into 5 subcategories. For fire tube boilers, we're looking at 5 ppm NOx as a requirement. The emissions control plan and authority to construct need to be submitted to the district by May 1st, 2022, with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2023. Units at schools, units fired on digester gas and thermal fluid heaters are remaining at 9 ppm. So as long as you meet the requirements of 4306 in these 3 particular subcategories, you will meet the requirements of Rule 4320. And for the last subcategory, all other units, the target for that is going to be 5 ppm. Requirements for all of these are going to have the emissions control plan and authority to construct due on May 1st, 2022, with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2023. Category B, units greater than 20 million BTUs. On our 3 subcategories, we're looking at the same NOx requirement of 2.5 ppm. So any units that are 20 million BTUs or greater, you're going to be looking at 2.5 ppm NOx required with your emissions control plan and authority to construct due on May 1st, 2022, and ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2023. Category C, oil field steam generators. For units that are 5 million to 20 million BTUs, the target is 6 ppm. The emissions control plan and authority to construct on May 1st, 2022, with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2023. As you can see, everything in this category is going to have the same compliance dates with different NOx limits. On units 20 million BTUs to 75 million BTUs, 75 million BTUs and greater, as well as units firing on 50% by volume public utility quality gas, those units are all going to be 5 ppm NOx. On category D, refinery units. On our 3 subcategories, boilers that are 5 million BTUs to 40 million, 40 million to 110 million BTUs, we're looking at 5 ppm NOx required. As the other categories, May 1st, 2022 is a requirement for the emissions control plan and authority to construct with compliance by December 31st, 2023. On boilers that have a heat input of greater than 110 million BTUs, we're looking at 2.5 ppm NOx required with those same compliance dates. For process heaters, 5 million to 40 million BTUs, as well as 40 million to 110, we're looking at 5 ppm NOx being required. Dates on that will be May 1st, 2022 for authority to construct an emissions control plan, along with ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2023. Process heaters that are greater than 110 million BTUs will also have to meet a NOx limit of 2.5 ppm NOx with those same required dates. For low use units, units that operate with an annual heat input greater than 1.8 billion BTUs per year, but less than 30 billion BTUs per year, are going to have a NOx limit of 9 ppm. The emissions control plan and authority to construct is to be submitted by May 1st, 2022, and ultimate compliance by December 31st, 2023. So a summary of Rule 4320. There's an option to pay the annual fee in lieu of the enhanced emissions requirements that we discussed. Annual fee compliance option for this is going to come in at $9,350 per ton of NOx emitted, and is going to be based on the total emissions of an individual source, not a savings of emissions from what you're currently at. An additional 4% is going to be added for an administrative fee that goes to the district. And for those choosing to go this route, the Air District will provide invoices to users starting in 2025 for their operations in 2024. The intention to go the annual fee route needs to be submitted to the Air District by May 1st, 2022. So we've shown a number of tables with a number of dates. For those that are a little bit more visual, we've summarized these into a timeline. May 1st, 2022 is going to be the required date for Rules 4306 non-deferred units and everyone under 4320 to submit an emissions control plan and authority to construct. December 31st, 2023 is the required date for compliance for all non-deferred units under 4306 and 4320. January 1st, 2025, though it's not explicitly called out in the rules, it is an important date. 4320 will start invoicing for those choosing the fee method in lieu of compliance for all 2024 operations. May 1st, 2028 is when all deferred units under 4306 need to submit their emissions control plan and authority to construct. And December 31st, 2029 is when those units under 4306, which have been deferred, need to meet compliance. So we have an example we can follow. For a fire tube unit, 5 million to 75 million BTU, permitted greater than 9 ppm, this unit must be retrofitted to 7 ppm per Rule 4306. Per Rule 4320, the user can choose to meet 2.5 ppm or pay the fee for the NOx emissions. The compliance plan must be submitted to the Air District by May 1st, 2022 to let them know what direction they plan on going for Rule 4320 compliance. Our second example, for a fire tube boiler that is permitted less than 9 ppm from 5 million to 20 million BTU input, is allowed deferment on their 7 ppm requirement by Rule 4306, and they must comply by December 31st, 2029. Per Rule 4320, the user can choose to meet 5 ppm or pay the fee for NOx emissions. If the choice is to meet the 5 ppm requirement for 4320, compliance is going to be required by December 31st, 2023. If the choice is to pay the fee, the unit can remain at the current emissions level and not have to retrofit to 7 ppm until December 31st, 2029. The compliance plan detailing the site's intentions must be submitted to the Air District by May 1st, 2022. So in conclusion, when navigating the new rule changes, each user will have options to evaluate to see what makes best sense for them. Some early adopters have the ability to defer compliance until December 31st, 2029. Regardless of the course of action, all users must have compliance plans submitted to the district by May 1st, 2022.